Ulonkata bati yada tó yẹ kó máa da ifá. Inú tó yẹ kó jẹun ló fi bí pa. Ọba tálá, ọba takuntakun. Ṣàngó, Èṣù, Ògún, Ọya, Ọ̀ṣun. Ìwọ ló ń bọ̀ nílé. Kí ni ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ tán ṣe nílé yìí o? Ó jẹ́ lọ jára.
Alafia, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, Orisha Gbemi. Today we are joined by none other than our distinguished community elder, the Oba, the Oloye, Baba Ifa Karade. Alafia, peace and blessings, Baba. How you doing today?
Alafia ni, Dada ni, I'm well. All right, I'm here to say that this is the night, tonight. Everything gonna be all right. This is the night, tonight. Thing gonna be. Tell I'm old school, man. I'm telling my age, man. Cool in the gang going back, man. Used to play that in the band and everything on my congas, man, making it happen.
Bars. That's what we call that. Bars. Baba coming in, dropping bars out here on the night. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Kaguo Kabiesi, Oba Koso on this good Shango Oyade today. Baba dropping them bars on them. I ain't mad at it, Baba. I ain't mad at it. I had to drop some bars in the comments the other day, but
sometimes you just gotta let folks know.
Man.
This is how we roll. Okay, you can just rolling up in here if you want to.
Listen, man, we here for love, light, peace, and E-Ray and Ashe, man. Don't know why the people be coming over here with that foolishness, but we ain't gonna let them put no clouds over our sunshine, man. We're gonna keep this thing almighty and divine. So with that, bye-bye. Shout out to the crew, shout out to the tribe, shout out to the communities, the Institute, everybody who's been rocking with us. We got a new member. Shout out to Shy Goddess. We definitely appreciate you joining the channel, family, for sure. We appreciate the love, the support. Shout out to everybody, the whole tribe, man. I appreciate all the love and support. It's been a little while, Baba, since you and I did this thing, man. So I want to dive in, man, and come in hot and drop these bars and bombs and everything else that you feel like dropping, man. So we're gonna make it do what it do, babe. We're gonna make it do what it do.
Do that, man. But it's all good. Peace and love to, all of our, tribe and nation and all that makes us happening. All right. I'm going to Ashere Wordy Wofum. Okay. Priestess Shah Goddess. Okay. All right. Shout out to all the people representing the wonder and magnificence of Ifai Shishe. It is our ancestral birthright. It is our genetic reality. It is not what we make it, but what it makes us. And together we will win. Together we will tie up the lion. Okay. So I just want to start off with, that kind of, bringing forth the spirit of purpose. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you ready for me to? I'm coming out swinging. I'm just letting it. I'm just saying.
You got to swing. You got to swing. You know what I'm saying? Look, who am I to tell you not to swing? I don't care. If you want to do the new Jack swing, you want to do the Kojak, Jack swing, like whatever swinging you want to do, Baba, you swing and bang, and I'm here with you. So let's make it happen. Let's make it do what it do, man. We coming in swinging. We ain't doing no capping. We're just gonna make it do what it do. Yes, sir.
Well, everybody, got to feel the love, got to feel the passion. It's not like, we here trying to be all, we for real, we authentic. Eniyangi D, we are Babalaos who have been to the continent and back. We are proclaimed as Ojise. We are messengers of this tradition. And we for real about it. No heirs, no royal, there's places and people for that. Not passing any judgment, but there's places for people like us too, for people who can just be real and be helpful, and be earnest and passionate about the goodness and greatness that we are by the blessings of our ancestors. Okay. Set to bestow upon our people, upon our nations, upon our tribes. Okay. That said, for all that we've covered in the past, okay, we're going to bring it up to speed and we're going to talk about readers and diviners. Now, You gotta pose it to me like, well, Baba or Loye or Jise, what made you, put your finger on the pulse of this?
Yeah.
Well, my finger never left the pulse of it, my brother. It's always been on it. Okay. Because in so many ways, not only do we look at it, what our experience is in our Iwakiri, in our spiritual journey, as we embark upon the remembering of who we are, the remembrance, we find ourselves getting a reading. Okay. In one way or another. Okay. Either someone has picked up, okay, that there's a diviner in town. You know what I mean? There's somebody who can, bring forth some kind of information some kind of way. And if we all took a moment to kind of write down our initial experiences, I would project that the majority of us would say in our journals that we experience having a divination / reading. And and that's powerful because it seems to be the portal, seems to be the gateway. Now, how we went through it, what came afterwards, that's the person's personal journey. Okay. I can only share mine to sort of substantiate and validate, okay, what the core of this evening's discussion is. But my experiences don't speak for everyone. I just want to add that as a disclaimer, okay? But at the same time, I know we all overlap. And one of those overlapping areas is that we've had readings, okay? Even at a time when we didn't even know, what to call it. It's just like, okay, I found myself there. I found myself, getting a reading, or somebody told me something, or somebody guided me who already had readings, who knew somebody who did it. But at any rate, Iwakiri, we're making our spiritual journey. But going through those portals of being read, okay, being divined for, okay, and then all that comes with that. Initiatory stages, adimu, offerings, ebos of various types, but all stemming from the reading, okay, divination. Now, what comes to the fore after my evolution, is that for all of the readings that I did before becoming an Obatala priest and becoming a Babalao, I looked at that line and said, okay, so here I was prior to initiations doing readings because I've been scratched in Bakongo. And even before that, I think many of us knew through some sort of premonition or some sort of feeling or some sort of intuitiveness that there was something different about us, minus the initiations, minus the bimbays, minus the spiritual gathering, we might have grown up in households where such a capacity might have been even looked down upon or even feared. But there are some of us who may have grown up and grandma did read the tea leaves, okay? And there was something about the way grandpa or Uncle Joseph, was able to kind of tell things before things happen. You see, so we've always been in that kind of atmospheric, psychic dimension, but because such is looked down upon, demonized by the overall, Western religious construct, and dare I say, ironically so, because divination is all through the Old Testament and New Testament. Okay. Then we discover how the priest of ancient times, determined that such wasn't going to be the way, because it was taking attention from the new interpretation of religion, especially coming out of Constantinople, 325 years AD. So, but even then it didn't stop. Okay. And there are people who are really confused because of their belief factors, not because of their intelligence, but because of their belief factors, that the psychic and divinatory capacity within not only human beings, but all creatures that resonate and vibrate is a reality. Now, how it's structured, manipulated, and how it's brought into what works for me, that's a little touch and go, okay? But it's there, okay? Everybody take the water from the well, okay? But everybody use the water differently. So once we come to understand that the capacity is inherent within all of Oludumare's creation, then we start to determine how we can best utilize it. Okay. And of course, some people utilize it for the good of self, family, community, nation, humanity, and some use it to the detriment. And then there's ways of looking at it. Well, it depends on why you're doing it. For example, under enslavement, if you're using your capacity to protect loved ones the best you can, to protect yourself the best you can, and to bring harm against those who are harming you, then that becomes, a moral issue, So at any rate, everybody can go to the well, but everybody going to use the water differently. Okay. And I would dare say that most people, not the majority of people who become involved in Ifani Shishe, are already somewhat conscious of a greater capacity. Okay. Now, looking at my journey, say, okay, I was doing readings before. Okay. And it didn't seem to matter what I utilized. Okay. There are people who read palms. There are people, who read the iris of your eyes. There are people who read your facial expressions. There are people who read your body language like you a book. And those who are well practiced are usually, as you say, spot on. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we come to understand. And then there are those who are perhaps been through war, and then I have the capacity to kind of sense danger or know when someone's, kind of looking at them from afar. These are all human and beyond human capacities. The question becomes the capability. And why is it, for example, that, again, divination and readings are frowned upon and demonized? Okay. Why is it? And especially amongst our people, we're kind of set to the side and, put over there, and all kinds of wickedness cast against us because of our capacity. And then it becomes obvious. We don't want you to have your capacity strengthened, because what enemy would want to strengthen those whom they have physically defeated? See? But now that we be kind of free now, we're able to gather our forces and utilize our spiritual capacity. And that filters through being able to detect and being able to pick up on the physical, the mental, and the spiritual essence of any given person or any given situation.
Mm-hmm.
So these are our readers, okay?
Yeah.
Who can just do it because they're so inclined by heredity or just being open. Meditational practices, that's what got me into it. But the meditational practices started to open up my mind to the point where I was literally reading people's thoughts.
Mm.
And it
Yeah.
took me a while, because that was the whole Kundalini yoga, kind of first real experience in opening up the mind. And I would suggest, and I can only make suggestions, that anyone who gets involved with being a reader or diviner in Isheshe also practice meditation.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask everybody to stick with me now, because I try to get a lot in a relatively short period of time. Because one might say, okay, well, if that capacity is brought about by meditation, then what about people who are mounted? Okay. Be it through drum, chant, hallucinogenics, you know what I mean? By whatever means, that altered state is reached. Okay. And now we find that there's a difference between people who are like mediums and quote unquote tellers of fortune, who are called basically awo, rawo, okay, and those who get mounted, who are generally Olorisha, okay, those who have gone through at least the first few initiatory stages. Now, of course, there are exceptions. I would get mounted before I made Olorisha, but I had already been scratched. But I was getting mounted before I got scratched. But that's what led me to get scratched. And people say, "Well, how do you know that you're mounted?" Well, trust me, you'll know. Okay, when the spirit of something, you might not know what that something is, but you know that it's deeper than you. Okay. We are the Emi. Okay. Whatever possesses us, okay, is a Emi Orisha, Emi Egun. Okay. So we have different ways. I feel as though nature possesses us as well. Okay. And you may find yourself, in a very different state of mind, a very different state of being. As one who like practices Tai Chi a lot, and then the people of that culture say that would be the fourth dimension, where you go beyond the three-dimensional concreteness and into a greater metaphysical realm, and there you commune with everything differently. But it takes earnest practice. Again, back to the meditation, or when you reach samadhi. And now, again, that differs in a way from being mounted. And those of you who may be like unsure or unclear what that means, well, it's just when the Orisha mount the person, and now that person becomes the the vocal, okay, expression of Shango, of Yemoja, of Obatala. And under that possession, under, mounted, okay, that individual is able to read, okay, your essence, read into you what that Orisha's message is to you. Okay. Now, I'm not saying one is better than the other. So please don't misunderstand me. Okay. I'm just saying that both of them exist. And that over time, one becomes more of a specialist, if you will, in either one. But at any given time, it can be overlapped. I practice meditation so that when I am possessed, I'm more clear about the Orisha that comes down, and then how I articulate what that Orisha is saying to, for, and about whatever individual that gets chosen. Okay. So this is how it works, and the power of it is, it's real. Anybody who's been in this for a while can say, it's real, and it's not demonic, and it's not anything to fear. Okay. All that propaganda and, fear, don't do this and don't get involved with that, becomes a thing of, ridiculousness.
Control. I think of control as well.
Yeah. But and then controlling what? Again, the power that would come from people melding their capacities together and as a whole being able to uplift the burdens. Now, again, the irony is, when folks get together and pray, is that not the same concept?
Yep.
Is exactly the same. Okay. When folks get the Holy Ghost, okay, it is that not the same? When the preacher gets mounted, is that not the same? So we are coming to more definitively state that from a global perspective, that what we are doing is no different than what anybody else on the planet is doing. We can go for the China to Korea, to the Philippines, we can go to Arabia. Don't let the whole Muslim thing fool you. Those folks are doing the same thing everybody else is doing en masse. They have their own divinatory process and always did. Okay. So it's time for us to take a stand and say what we're doing and involved in is going to be perfected, and it's going to be for the benefit of us. Okay. Now, back to readers and diviners. But first, Orisha Gbemi, anybody have any questions?
I do. I got several.
Because
I got several questions. I haven't seen any in the comments yet, but I do have a couple of comments in their questions, because like the timing of this is divine. Because one thing that I want to share is I think I've had two in the last month, probably less than a month. I say the last 3 to 4 weeks, two brand new clients to divination. Like this was their very first divination. One of them, in regards to that, I just had last night, and I remember at the end of the call, they were like, "Wow, I should have did this a long time ago. Like I can't believe I waited this long to do it." Because it gave me so much clarity. It gave me so much confirmation, and just so many different things that I kind of knew or wondered. Like it was able to bring all those things to light, to really give me extreme amount of clarity in regards to whether it's closure or clarity in regards to situations, circumstances, etc. But
Mm.
it reminded me of one I did like a couple of weeks ago. The same thing, like towards the end of it, the same exact thing. I'm so grateful that I did this. I'm glad Spirit led me to do this because I don't know what I was afraid of all these years, like why I was afraid to do it all this time. So the first question that I posed to you, and then I got a couple more, but the first one is, what would you attribute to being the fear factor for those who may not want to necessarily consult with a divination or a diviner to get messages? Do you feel like it's more so of the conditioning from the environment from which we were raised, or do you feel like it could just be an internal, thing that's going on internally, whether it be, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, etc.? Like, what would you say based upon you've been doing
Mhm.
this as long as I've been alive? What would you say that you feel like would be like the tendency for people to be apprehensive or afraid to get, consult?
I would say the former, brother. I would say that the social engineering
Hmm.
and what is implanted,
Hmm.
injected into us as children,
Gotcha.
you know, and what is injected into us as children is lifelong.
Oh yeah.
It is lifelong, and it takes a tremendous amount of courage and strength to kind of iconoclastically break through the Sunday school teachings, the emotional connection of being with family at church or masjid, the engineering of the educational system, because we put so much trust in them to guide us to a better life, a better future financially and in terms of status. Okay. So there's quite a number of fear factor walls that are implanted in us, you know? And then that leads to, well, once we come across it, this African thing, you know, this divinatory thing, you know, then those walls start closing in automatically. And again, if we're not courageous, if we're not strong, and if we're not set with understanding that beyond the historical recognition of our people, there is a spiritual recognition of our people. And we stand on that solid rock, if I can coin the phrase. Okay. And we start to not only push back, but we start to climb these walls, you know, and sometimes they're higher than we ever imagined. But we know we have to keep climbing because there is something on the other side, and we know it. We know it. Okay. And something that they can't take away from us, no matter how hard they try. Some of us will never, never kiss the hand of the Pope. Some of us will never, you know, be okay with the indoctrination of the Abrahamics. Some of us will try because we're riding on our youth, okay, what's been injected. But we start taking the antidotes. We clear up our diet. We clear up what we're reading. You know, we clear up our independence of thought and mind, you know, as adults. Okay. And we start to travel and we start to talk with people who travel and things start resonating. It's like, yeah, I never thought it like, I never knew that.
Yeah.
So the walls, as they say, start to crumble. The walls start to fall apart. You see? So it's the first one, but we can outgrow it and we can defeat it. The mere fact that we are here right now is an indication of that.
We're here now.
We're
And
here
shout out
now.
Kaguo Kabiesi. I know there's a Oriki that I do sometimes with my prayers, where he strikes the wall down with 200 plus thunderbolts. You know what I mean? So it's like we striking them walls down. So yeah, shout out to Kabiesi Obatuso Shango.
Mhm,
So let me ask you this, Baba, because as you were
mhm,
into your I'm gonna quote you as you so brilliantly, eloquently stated in your opening monologue. I was listening and my wheels got turning. So I'm thinking, me, I'm a ball player, to heart. You grew up playing ball, was born, we're the same place basketball was born at. So, but I say all that to say, I started thinking I wanted to get your opinion. So I've seen people who I look like that's been possessed on the basketball court. I've seen Mike go for 63. I've seen Kobe go for like 80, you know what I'm saying, or 70 in a game. So would you say that is like a similar, way that we can kind of say is a possession? Is can sports be, or even like a pianist? I've seen pianists and musicians who they in the zone. I've seen a comedian, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Benji Brown, put on one of the best performances I've ever seen at the Improv. And I've seen some of the greats, and he smashed it one night. I'm like, yo, this dude was in the zone. I think he was possessed because everything he did, he was just on fire. I've never seen a performance like that before. So do you feel like the possession has the ability to, I would say, like cross over and kind of like switch into different aspects of life outside of spirituality? Like, do you feel like that can happen in sports or music or, performances, etc.?
Definitely. But because it is. It is. Like I use the analogy with the well. Okay. Anybody can go to the well,
Yeah.
get the water from the well. Okay.
Mhm.
And but it's going to be utilized differently depending on their makeup, depending on, how they are, geared to be. Okay. Ours is like say at this moment we're discussing how that ashe, if you will, or that spiritual essence gets translated into abba within the individual, and then the manifestation comes out. Okay. Now you are interlocking with genetics, you're interlocking with prior teaching, you're interlocking with environmental forces. It's very complex, just like our ability to see and talk is very complex, but it's happening at speeds that we can't even measure. So it's there. It's there. We are in the water. We are in the well, but how we come out specifically different, which now leads us to a Yanmo, which is one's destiny. I know it's my destiny to be a Babalao. I know it's my destiny to be a person of spiritual walking. Okay. Just like that football player knows at age 7 or 8, everybody like, oh, what do? Yeah. Okay. He was born to do this, or that warrior or that teacher, you see? So yeah, definitely. It comes in different ways to different people, and some of us, like a puzzle, we fit together, more so. But yeah, but we can get in the zone, you get psyched out, you know what I mean? Or psyched up, you know what I mean? You rev yourself up to the point where you are no longer who you are, but you're who you are exponentially
Mhm.
because of that capacity that we have. Some of us can channel it, and if you train your mind, and if going through spiritual initiations, which is a part of that training, so that you can become a seer, okay? But you have to have a state of possession in order to see things differently, even yourself. Empowerment, empowerment,
I should.
okay? That's what it um, must equate to from this school of thought. Okay. Now let's go back to reader diviner.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, I could go into the whole history of it, all the way back to the ancient Commetans. You know what I mean? And all the way through the Judeo-Christian Islamic thing, and even into the Asiatic. you know, with the I Ching and all of that, you know, throwing of the arrow sticks, and people get possessed. You know, the Japanese folks with their Shinto, everybody gets possessed because everybody has a capacity to get possessed. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's look at, for the sake of time, let's look at a tarot card reader. Now notice we don't say a tarot card diviner. Okay. A person who reads the tea leaves. Okay. Echoing what was stated a few moments ago. We don't call them a diviner. We call them readers.
Yeah.
Somebody reads your palm, read your eyes. Okay. They read. And we just stated that we all have the capacity to do it. We just have to train ourselves.
Yep.
Okay. We have to let it happen. You know? So then what now need we put the fingers on the pulse of? Okay. When it comes down to being a diviner.
Listen.
You see where I'm going?
Oh yeah. Listen.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen.
Now, we who are initiated into the priestly orders, Orishas, Orishas, Nifas, Babalaos, okay. Are we then still permitting ourselves to be called readers? Are we then, just as a matter of discourse, you know, I'm not trying to say what, I'm just opening it up, you know, to say that when a person comes to me and I pull out my Opele, okay, or I pull out my cowrie shells, am I giving them a reading or am I divining for them? Okay. Now, going back a couple of pages, when I stated that with me, I had to look at the line because the line was looking at me. And the question was, are you a reader or are you a diviner? Now that you've been to Tashe, you knelt at the stone, the Ota of Arumina. You've been with elders. You know, you've gone through all of this, and not just once, but twice. Okay, so now you know it's not how other people are looking at you, but more so how you're looking at yourself. And now how you're going to conduct yourself as a result, and how that resonates, radiates out so that people just don't feel as though they're getting a reading, that there's an exchange of divinity happening here. There's an exchange of divinity. The Babalao, the Iya, the Babas, we're simply portals.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody who gets stuck otherwise,
I love that you said that, Baba. I love that you said that. And I didn't mean to interrupt, but because I had another conversation prior to doing the divination, and shout out to my brother Oak, brother who I've known long before, you know, I've known E5. But we've kind of seen each other grow through our journeys. And so for me, one of the things that I do my best to try to like encourage people to do is to listen to spirit and like really, really factor in the God factor in that intuitive inner voice, like the sense of knowingness and intuition factor, because I was doing that long before I knew anything about being a priest, long before I knew anything about E5, long before I knew anything about divination. I was able to tap into that intuitive, you know, awareness. So it's like I didn't know necessarily how I was doing it. You know, sometimes I didn't know why I was doing it. But as I've grown, and like you said, with the meditation, of course, the ceremonies, you know, all that stuff, it definitely has heightened and took it to, you know, mountaintop heights, you know, that I wasn't before. But at the same time, one of the things that I'm one of the biggest proponents of is to get people to believe in your child of godness. And when I say that, I mean there's no difference between my child of godness and yours. Yeah, I had a few ceremonies and I'm proud of those, but that didn't make me be who I am today sitting here. That just helped. It kind of like molded or maybe sharpened, but it didn't make what was already there. So I share that to uninitiates and I share it to initiates that for you to be a truly great or even just a really good diviner, you have to learn how to not only hone that skill, but to trust that intuition. You have to trust that small, still voice that you hear, that sense of knowingness that you know that it has never led you astray. If you had to make a decision to go left or to go right, and it could be something that could be fatal, depending on which way you go. If you trust in that one voice that you know has never led you astray and that you've listened to and never let you down, then you know that it's going to work out and everything is going to be okay because you've done it before. So what I do is I challenge people to like really dig in and believe and tap into that inner voice, but to get to really know it and to, you know what I'm saying, respect it and to cultivate it and to nourish it, because that's going to be the separation factor, especially for someone who starts to do anything that has to do with divination. Because yes, the oracle will tell you things, the seeds will tell you things, the chain will tell you things, all that will happen. But for you to get to the point where you are able to really transmute the energy for the person you're divining, you have to be able to trust that voice from spirit or to trust that information or that guidance that you're getting along with the Odu that comes with whatever oracle or tool that you're using.
Yes, yes. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Okay. And as you stated, um, as eloquently as you stated, uh, the the difficulty in grasping that and working with people who um, share that insight is alarmingly it's alarmingly uh, problematic. You know, all through the days, uh, winged tongues speak of people who just want to kind of have you elbow your way out of the darkness, you know, just elbow your way. If you keep making the elbows, eventually everything is going to change. That's kind of what I'm picking up. I'm just kind of um, not quoting, you know what I mean, but just saying that's what I surmise. It's like just more elbows and more of giving to the Orisha, and as a result, I find that people lose more of themselves, and I know that seems a little anti-priestly, you know, but I can do that. I earn my stripes. You know, every person in the priestly order, the sacerdotal order, is not on the same plane or level of understanding. We're not programmed robots, or at least I'm not. You know what I mean? So the whole thing in terms of being a diviner, so people come to you for divination, is not so much on this level, okay, about go make this elbow, go, spend $500, $700 a month on, you know, whatever for the Orisha, and meanwhile your bills are piling up, you know, and then they just keep coming back to me, you know, and just keep on this treadmill, and you know, you'll be all right. But that's not what I'm finding. And I'm not speaking hypothetically here. I'm talking about real time. That's what I'm finding. And it troubles me. It troubles me. And I'm not saying that the people in these, you know, elays or temples are manipulative or bad people. They're just regurgitating, you know, what's been fed to them, you know, like the little birds, and the mama goes off and brings back the worm or whatever, and just keeps shoving everything down their mouth. And then the birds grow up and they do the same thing. So it's all about the regurgitation. And I'm not about it, you know, and I see we're not being about it since 1986 has made a way, not just for me, but for us, you know? So it's like, okay, you know, it's like, okay, we just have to stop doing, you know, basically what the whole regurgitory process is. Back to your statement about the control factor, you know, which is more Eurocentric and Catholic than the way of Ile Ife. And that's becoming more and more of a concrete statement than an abstract statement, as now we not only study the Odu and study the Orisha, but we study the people, the people who live there. You think they were running every, you know, every situation to kind of, you know, well, they'll do this and do that, you know, and waiting to hear the voice of what any particular Orisha. Yeah, there were folks who did that, just like there are folks in the Shaolin Temple, but they didn't represent all of the Chinese people. It's like, come on, yo, all right? But the influence, you know, was far reaching. Okay, the influence was far reaching. So yeah, we can have people who get mounted, Eshin Orisha. You know, they get mounted. We have Zora Neale Hurston talking about "Tell My Horse." Okay. Well, what she's talking about, if from a Haitian, what the loa is when that person gets mounted, you know, the parlay or whatever in French, but it's tell my horse, you know, because we're having a conversation with that which mounts me. Okay. So again, there's just so much beauty and wonder in this, okay, that we have to kind of extract from those fear factors and those walls that will continually be a part of our experience, because we're continually bombarded, we're continually reminded, okay, of these notions of what we're doing is satanic, you know, and what we're doing. So well, you can check any and every culture globally, global perspectives, and you'll see where the divinatory process is and has been a part of that culture. Now, whether it was used for good or bad, that's you know, that's a moral dilemma for most, but it's there. We want to use it for good, okay? And we don't want to continually, you know, regurgitate. We want to innovate, you know, we want to resurrect the people amongst us, not the syncretism and the extraction of what seems to make another group uh, uh, feel as though they, you know, they can appropriate every aspect of it. You know, what they do is what they do, but on this side of the river, this is what we do. Okay, we seek to understand it. We seek to bring it into a way of life that brings about the betterment of our people, and then the betterment of people who feel the resonation, who feel the divinity within us. When that person leaves you from getting that divination, and you've so charged them, okay, with the ashe that you bring, the greatest of happenings after that is that it brings about even just a little bit of change. Just a little bit of change. Because whatever that person was hiding from, they now see within themselves. Sending folks out to just get stuff, that doesn't bring them to an inner revelation,
right,
or epiphany about themselves. It just continues on that treadmill, if you will, of regurgitation, you know? But it takes time to kind of figure that out. And that's why it's good to have elders in the community, because they've been in it long enough to figure it out and to see what leads to what, if so directed, you know, if so directed. Now, back in the day, okay, we would look at D.OB, you know, which is the casting of the cola nuts. You didn't have to be a priest or priestess to do that. You could be grandma, you could be ma, you could be Dioloria B. You're the head of the household. You know, you don't have to be initiated. You know, our people, we didn't move like that. You know, it was just like these were, you know, implements that filtered down. It's like everybody who does kung fu is not a kung fu master living up in it, you know, but they've learned some of the exercises, some of the breathing that goes with it, you know, some of the meditational arts. Everybody who practices meditation, not a guru, you know what I'm saying? So everybody who becomes a preacher didn't go to the seminary, or you know what I mean? It's just we are locked into this, you know, fantasy world of everything has got to be this cookie cutter kind of thing. But see, that's good business, okay? That's not real reality. Okay. So that's why I say you can practice Ifa any way you want to. You can take from it what you need. You can develop your own capacity. Now, when you need to have a divination and you go to a surreal diviner, we'll help you on your way. But we're not going to lock you into, you know, keep taking this like big pharma, regardless of the side effects. As long as you keep pumping that money and keep you kind of sick but kind of well, we going to keep this rolling. You going to get poor, I'm going to get richer. And that's the way it is. But we're saying not over here. Not over here. Okay? So we can train people to use the OB, you know, with 4 coconut shells or the actual Obi Abata, and just say, Dida Obi, Obi ni Ibi Iku, Obi ni Ibi Arun, Obi ni Ibi Ofo. You know, I'll go Obi, cash, and then, oh, okay, there's 2 males, 2 females, you know, this side up, this side down. You don't, why? Why you got to pay somebody $1,500, $5,000 to be able to throw some cowrie shells?
Baba,
I don't get it.
I gotta say something. I can't because it's weighing on me real heavy, man. And I know we got a shorter time frame tonight than we normally do. But let me tell you something. When you were saying that, I promise you, and I don't know if anybody's watching it, anybody who I've worked with on the live right now, but I know I've worked with people in spirituality, but more so people in business that I've like stopped working with people before because I never looked at it the way that I'm about to share the metaphor or the example, but something you said triggered this metaphor and example within me. But me personally, I've stopped working with people like in business consulting before because, or even like, yeah, and because it was like I would work with them, and they were paying, like, they paid whichever way that I had to set up, whether it was like a package or, you know, one-off or whatever the case may be. And they wasn't doing the work. Like, they wasn't doing any of the work that I gave, you know, whatever information or whatever the, you know, direction that I gave them, they didn't do any of the work. And we're having weekly calls to go over, you know, how we're progressing to get to the next level with where they were to where they wanted to go. And there was no progression. So I had to stop because I'm like, yeah, I can keep getting the money, but the money is not worth my time. And right now, I feel like you're wasting my time. I want to win. So it's like I looked at sports. What came to my mind is there's been multiple times in sports where a dominant athlete will take more money to go to a team that they know is not going to win, but they can go and get the bag over there. So they're going to go. I'm not knocking that. If you want, you know what I'm saying? I'm not knocking anybody for what they do. But me personally, I'm the dude where I'm gonna take less on my contract to go to a team where I know I got the opportunity to win the chip. I want it all. I want to win the trophy. I want to win. That's the only reason I'm playing is to win. So even when it comes to consulting, I want to win. So if you're not doing the work and you're not progressing and growing, I don't really want to play on your team. I don't think we, you know what I'm saying? I don't think we the same. So I'd rather play with somebody else that I know that I have the opportunity to win, even if it's going to cost me money, because the money don't mean as much to me as winning does. I like to win.
Yeah. And I could say the same thing about, you know, being a teacher, being a professor. You know, now I'll work with you, and you know, I'll assist you in the process, and I'll try every way that I can to get you to understand that it's all about the seriousness that you bring. Okay. And just, you know, riding on the vibe that you just said about your integrity. It's like, why I step in the classroom, look, I'm here to work. I'm here to win. What you here for?
Yes.
You know, I don't I don't care. You know, what are you here for? Because see, you need to kind of get that in your head. You know, just talk to a young brother, and you know, decide that his dad's the principal of the school. So sometimes, you know, we get a little like that. I'm like, yo, man, you know, are you here to win? And he'd be like, I can't hear you. You know what I mean? He's like,
That's
yeah.
right.
You know, I throw my fist up. I said, well, then you didn't get it going. Get it going. You know. So I hear you, man. You know, and so what is our winning? Okay. Our winning is developing techniques to help an individual as much as we can. But then if that individual it's resistant or you know so fearful or whatever their reason may be that they're not going to be a part of the winning
Culture.
Then we have to make decisions because we can keep taking their money and we can even make them feel less of a winner, you know,
And people
because
do
now
that.
they're gonna keep coming back. So we're
Yeah.
playing on their fears, we're playing on their self-doubts.
Yeah.
And that's not a diviner. You might have a reader who does that, you know, make the table shake by, you know, knocking the stuff around and make people feel, you know, all this kind of Ouija board thing is happening. You know what I mean? And, you know, I've heard people going to get readings and folks put like a dummy in the chair and, you know, and and somebody is manipulating the dummy and that's like their spirit is speaking and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, see, readers do that. Diviners aren't supposed to do that. But I know diviners who do. I called out a few. One in San Francisco. Well, they were mad at me, but I didn't care. I was there for my people. I'm not there to be part of the, you know, the crew, you know, because that's not winning. Back to, you know, the analogy that you drew. But you know, at any given point, we can start teaching people about the Obi, even when they get their Lekes, and definitely by the time they get their warriors, you know, you should have an understanding of how to channel the Ashe, how to be the Abba. Got people in this for 16, 20 years. Baba, I don't know what to do. I have all these pots. I have this and have that. I said, well, did they give you your Merendi Logoon? Yes, they gave it to me, but all this time nobody's teaching you how to.
Yep. They're not teaching you how to use them, how to work with. And and people who get warriors where they don't even get the coconut shells or the, you know what I'm saying, to
Oh,
learn how to work with the cola,
no.
cola, you know, abiyata. So it's like that's the part of, I feel like, the manipulation aspect. And shout out to Shy Goddess and DJ Kiko, Kai Rochelle, and Kosi. Like Shy Goddess and Kosi had some dope questions. I took screenshots, family, and I'm gonna share them with Baba so we can get them answered for y'all, because I gotta shut it down because I got some other things I gotta get to as well. But with that, I really want to get to those questions, Baba, because they had some dope questions.
Sure, sure.
And
Well,
we
we
will
can
get to them. Yeah.
next podcast.
Yeah, we'll get to
All
them
right.
because I screenshotted them, so that way, you know what I mean. Because they really did, like, they have some dope ones. But real quick too, with what you're saying about even working with the cola nut for the uninitiated, I promise you, I was just having that conversation yesterday too, and it's like the person who I was talking to, they have the hand of V5, but they haven't been initiated yet. And I was telling them, like, yo, you want to start working with those colas, bro? I'm telling you, because for me personally, like, I've seen so many quantum leaps and just so many opportunities and paths, you know, and roads open up to blessings, man. Like E-Ray, like since Tawede. And I keep going back to that because that's when I really took that part of my priesthood serious. And, you know, and I was having a conversation with a brother earlier about, you know, preparing to be a priest, right? But my thing was, you know, you was with me on my journey before I went into the room of Batala. I did my best to prepare at my best. And, you know, that's where I gave it my all. You know, I didn't know if I was doing everything right or if I was, you know, doing the right study. I didn't know if I was doing anything right, but I knew I was giving my all. I knew I put my all into it to try to win. And I feel like, to me, this is just my own personal little thoughts, but I feel like I don't get the conversation with you when you let me know about the book Ojise if I didn't work my ass off to get to the point where I was prepared to be ready to be blessed and fortunate to read Ojise before I go in the room. So I really feel like everything happens determined on or based upon what the energy and effort that we put into it. So if you put in the energy and the effort, the universe, the Orisha, Ifa, Great God of Heaven, Olamari, like, they're gonna give you things along your way that's gonna help you get to where you're going and get there faster, you know what I'm saying, and make a bigger impact because they know that you're doing the work.
Yes.
So
And I kind of hear what you're saying, man. You kind of pushing people to like get off it. You know what I mean? And don't be like, oh, the dependent little, you know, the little
oh,
Sunday school child who's, you know, like gotta have their hands up. No, you grown, you know, nobody gonna treat you. And I know people sometimes get a little twisted with me behind this, but I don't use the word child. It's not in my vocabulary when I'm dealing with grown behind people, you know, who now as an adult take on the responsibility to accomplish that inner freedom, you know, that breaking free, you know, that breaking free. And the divinatory process is assisting that. The being the reader or going to get readings, it may have an impact, but it's very worldly. You know what I mean? That most readers don't bring in divinities. Okay. And these days, most of the priestly don't bring in the divinity of the individual.
ooh.
They don't. They just don't. I'm seeing it to the left. I'm seeing it to the right, above and below. That's how you're going to call yourself a diviner
You said something with that, Baba.
if you don't tap
Sorry.
into the divinity of the person
Yeah, you said something.
right there in front of you, sitting right there in front of you.
You
Oh,
just
go do
answered one of
this,
the
go do
questions
that.
from either Shah and Kosi by what you just said. You just answered one of them questions. I'm telling you, like,
Okay.
hey, y'all, they know we ain't got to get that one next week because you just answered it.
Well, you know, and then so that's the difference again. Like the Olodu is that Babalao who has practiced since a child, you know, reciting, memorizing the Odu.
Mm.
Okay, just like they teach little kids early masjids, and you're going to memorize the Quran, or back in the days, the whole memorize the Bible, and some people go on and they become very good at it. Okay, but what I've noticed, at least for the people who kind of project themselves to the world, and not the ones who live in the monasteries, you know what I mean, and on the fringes of society, but those who project themselves on the world, I was like, I don't see where memorizing all this is really doing you or anybody else any good. You enslaving, you raping, you tearing the world up. And something happened. I said, no, you got to go, but man, I got to say this.
Go ahead, you got it.
I picked up on a piece.
I might run it back tomorrow. What time I get done with the other project, we'll see what happens. Yeah.
African brother, he was among some French dignitaries, in some European conference. And of course, all of the others were talking about the greatness of their ancestors, and the world domination, and how they built this and how they built that. And they were doing like round robin. Everybody got a chance to talk about their ancestors going back to antiquity up until today. So the brother, said he was a little nervous because he didn't really know what to say that would seemingly equate with the dominance of the Eurocentric. Okay. And he said, as he sat there, he was touched by an epiphany. He said his ancestors spoke to him in so many words and said, and this is what he shared with the group, is that what my ancestors did was not create bombs that could destroy the earth. What my ancestors did is that they set the pathway of the world to me, where I can go and nobody points at me and says, you mutilated my child, you tore into my people, you raped, you pillaged, and you enslaved the people of my country. He said, I can hear my ancestors, and he was starting to get deep. He said, I'm at peace in this world, and I'm finding that not having ammunition to go out and bomb everybody who you have a problem with and destroy everything that because you want to take it over, instead of establishing trade and mutual understandings, you go on this whole Euro trip of destruction. He said, that's what my ancestors left for me. I'm like, okay, bro. Everybody in the room was like, yo, Jinle. Okay, that's deep. Because what we have that our ancestors left for us is a way of existing and coexisting, not some primitive, wickedness and evilness and, all of that kind of stuff. Look at what your people have done. I tell you, a savage in a suit is still a savage. Okay? A savage with a Bible is still a savage. A savage with a Quran is still a savage. I don't give who, what, where, why, and when about, all of that fluff, because at the end of the day, what matters is how you move in as a people and what you're bringing to the world. Opele, are you bringing a betterment to the world, or are you bringing a threat to the world? Okay. Now, your delight in your, in your delusion of your greatness, But what is greater? What is greater? What is the greatest that our ancestors have left? You call us savages while you tearing babies out of wombs, enslaving people. You call us savages? Are you out of your mind? Okay.
Yep.
Yep. Apparently, we not out lynching y'all. Okay. But see, these are the harsh realities, you know. So I just wanted to throw that in, because what we have is powerful. The peace that we bring to this world, and it kind of ties into what you were saying about, you know, the impact that you had on the people who you divine for, because they pick up on what you resonate, not on what you say you have. Okay, not on what you say you have. We're not rolling like that. Well, look at me, you know, I'm such and such and such and such and da 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 da. You know, that's Eurocentric. That's control at the worst of levels. Okay, so we're saying we are empowering ourselves to empower you. You are empowering yourself to empower me. And together, we will empower all of us.
Sure.
And we'll do it through Ifa Isheshe. Because that's what it's there for. That's what our people were doing, building the Benin Wall. That's what our people were doing, building the Oyo empires. That's what our people were doing in ancient Kemet. The principles of Ma'at, like you were saying, you're going to draw a correlation between Ma'at and Ifa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But we weren't the ones going. They found, you know, African people already in South America in 1492. But we wasn't there pillaging and cutting off people and trying to rob their gold and all that kind of stuff. We, you know, we just wasn't cut like, you know, we just not like that. So what our ancestors left for us, Ifa, Isheshe, you know, relatively speaking, you know, in relationship to that global, you know, boulder that I just threw down, is that we have a means to collaborate, we have a means to cooperate, and we have a means to grow our own. We have a means to grow our own.
Sure.
But everyone has to do the work. You Berry, uninitiated, you Orisha, you know, just kind of, you know, getting in there. Yeah, you have work to do. Cut this dependency thing, you know, put it in perspective, you know, and do the work. We're here to assist in the process, not to send you off to some mystical, magical, miracle world, you know. The Orisha are portals to your greatness.
Yes, sir.
That's what they are. That's what they are.
Sure.
They're not heavenly angels, you know, for you to be giving up yourself to. You know. And I'm gonna leave it at that, because I'm starting to get fired up over here.
Listen, you ain't lying. Look, this is one of the nights I need to go for 3 hours, man. Golly, boy. Look, you in the bag, you in the suitcase, you in the suit bag. Like, man, listen. But oh man, I tell you what though, yeah, this was a profound, you know, shorter than normally we want to have it, but damn it, it was definitely packed worth, you know, just as many bombs, because you was in the bag tonight, Baba, for real. Like it was powerful. And you know, I really want to. I don't even want to go no further, because you said so much that this is going to be one of the ones I could tell people going to watch 2-3 times. I'm gonna watch it 2-3 times, because it was just so much that was like disseminated, but in a really, I mean, like not only crystal clear, but like a ninja razor sharp way, you know. And with that, I want to give a shout out to the tribe, the new members. Shout out to everybody who's part of the OGC Institute. Shout out to everybody who's joined the membership, the channel subscription membership, everything, all the support. We appreciate y'all for real. And also the people that Baba and I have been working with one-on-one. You know, I like to keep people's business private, but at the same time, I like to share, you know, circumstances and situations, so hopefully other people can grow from as well. But you know, we're helping people, Baba, and that is from some of the calls I've been on. I mean, recently, as of just as recently as yesterday, people are really inspired, man, and people are really tapped in, and we're growing, you know. And I think Sha said it earlier, like I'm here now, or she's here. I'm like, hell yeah,
Yeah,
hashtag we here now. We all here. We here with you. You know what I'm saying? Like for real, and we ain't alone. Like we are not alone. So it's like, you know, I really want to give thanks, man, to all the support. Shout out to our past guests, Wunam, Nikki Love came and burned it down this weekend. The tribe was loving that, so we working on getting her back in. Shout out to, you know, everybody who's been on the show, love, man. I'm definitely working on getting some of the elders back in as well. And you know, once that's locked in, you guys all know for sure. But bye, man. I appreciate you, man. You really you went in today, and I want to share this part too because I feel like I know you could co-sign for that. It's like you were there for me a lot of times, but there's sometimes when I can't get to you when I need to, you know, learn things or do things. But guess what? I'm gonna do it anyway and I'm gonna figure it out because at the end of the day, I'm gonna holler at you after or whenever, you know what I'm saying, and then get your 2 cents on it, or then get, you know, whatever you know you have to kind of lend to whatever it was that I was either going through or I was going to do. So it's like
yeah,
it doesn't matter if you've been initiated or not, you're still gonna have to do stuff on your own because there's gonna be times when even if you have the best of relationships with your
right,
godparent or your elder or your mentor, whoever you work with, there's still gonna be times where you may not be able to get to them in order to make a decision or in order to do things. So that's when you gotta trust your Inyani. Like that's when you gotta trust your Ori. That's when you gotta trust your child of godness. And you gotta know it because there is no difference between my child of godness, Baba's child of godness, or anybody else's child of godness because at the end of the day we're all products of the creator, we're all creations of the universal prime creator, the great God in heaven, Olamara. So it's like regardless of whatever the situation or circumstance that may come or bring, like we still have to be willing and able to do what we need to do our thing, you know, because the help is there, whether we know it or not, it's inside. You know, the deeper we go, like you said, with the meditation, with you know,
yeah.
raising us up with the elevation and also the crystallization to be able to bring forth the messages, you know, for the people. And it's all about working and tapping into the divine, man. So I appreciate you, Baba.
Yeah, and just in closing, man, on my part, you know, but see, that's another thing, you know, all everybody into E5, Shay, and everybody running around, you know, and it's like we have our people have meditational sciences in Sharo, you know what I mean? And see, we're just so out of tune and touch because we're drowning in regurgitation. It's like sickening, you know? It's like vomit. It's like, come on, and we dare not step out of it because it's still kind of echoes the church-like thing. You know what I mean? Where you're being told what to do. You just do, but go out and cross-reference, learn different things, pick up. Oh, we have meditational science. Oh, Baba called it Isharo. Let me look that up because see, I never heard that before. You know, I never been down that route. I didn't know my people even did that. I just felt we just kept going and getting chickens and making elbows all our lives. And you know what I mean? And run into divination every time somebody look at us crazy. You know what I mean? So, it's like, yo, you know what I mean? It's like, come on, people. You don't have to be as old as I am to come, to kind of get over this, but that's why I'm here. You know what I mean? To help you not be as old. So by the time you get to my age, you even higher and more deeper in thought about this, not some clone or some robotic. And every time you walk in front of somebody, you got to kneel down and roll over, like this is what we were doing. Well, ceremonially, yes, but not as a matter of course. Not as a matter of course. You show your respect. You show your respect to your elders. You show your respect to people in position. Okay, that's understood. But something's supposed to happen in terms of reciprocation, not just feeding somebody's ego. Okay, that does not lead to ascension. Trust me. Okay? So we're going to make our way through. Okay, we're going to be all right. Next time we'll talk about the Marindi Logun, the Opele, the E King. We'll talk about other forms of reading. Okay, and most importantly, people who are working at being diviners, working on ways to build up one's Abba, one's ability to translate and transmute the Ashe.
Ashe. You talking about transmute? Look, simultaneously, ain't that something? you talk about Ashe. Yes, sir. Look, that's that, but that's how real it is. Look, I told you about the birds talking to me earlier, Baba.
Yeah.
It wasn't no coincidence. They was talking too.
Yeah.
Listen, yeah, we here now.
Yeah.
Ashe. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I'm your host, Orisha Gbemi. Shout out to everybody who was turning it up in the chat, man. We definitely appreciate you all, family. And we'll be back soon. Hope possibly tomorrow, but either way, we'll definitely be back soon. If it's not tomorrow, we'll be back probably the next few days for sure to bring part 2 to readers and diviners. So with that, bye-bye. I definitely appreciate you, and I look forward to the tribe in the Institute tomorrow at 7 p.m. Everybody knows the links are in the platform. So yeah, we'll see y'all tomorrow, OGCA members, and then also we might be back after the class, depending on how things go, family. So I appreciate all the love and support, man. I really can't thank y'all enough, because y'all are all the reason that we do this. Even the people who don't catch the live, the people who catch the replays, but the people who are being inspired enough to drop comments and and to show love, man. We appreciate y'all. So with that, this has been another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I'm your host, Orisha Gbemi. Shout out to the Oloye, Baba Ifa on fire today, Karade, and we'll see y'all on the next episode. We out, family. Peace. Odabo.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé sàpò ìyàgbọ́, tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn, ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ, ẹja lọ pé eégún mo ṣe nígbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́. Forsake not your ancestors, embrace your